Shalom, family. I'm here. I sure hope you're all well. Shalom to everybody in the chat. Yes, we're going to go over another one from Chat GPT. So I hope you're ready for this. I I know you are. So anyway, y'all, thank you for being here. And what we're going to talk about is what these folks have been harping on, especially for probably the last good 10 years, is how high their IQ is. And really, it is, in my opinion, a load of BS. And the reason why I say that, it's an easy go to thing because nobody carries a IQ card in their wallet. So you can tell people virtually anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be true, and I certainly don't believe that about these folks. And number two, the whole purpose of the IQ test was not to measure intelligence or race. So they have turned it into something that it never was. And that's another reason why I never believed them. If you go and look at the whole premise of the IQ test, it was done for a whole different reason than what we're hearing today. That's why I know what they're saying is completely bogus. Another reason is if that were the case, how come you didn't say nothing back when the IQ test first came out? How come you waited decades and decades later to start saying this? That's another reason why I don't believe y'all. That's another reason why I don't believe you. If that were true, we should have heard this long before now when y'all start harping on it. And you have a history of weaponizing things against us. And this IQ, you got a high IQ, we got a low IQ. It's just one more thing that you're weaponizing against us. Nothing new under the sun. This is what you've been doing the entire time. And every time you come out with these things to say to us to make you look great and make us look bad, it's always turning out to be false. I have never seen one instance where you try to prop your ass up and try to slam us, and it turned out to be true. Every single instance, it has been false. And you can best believe this is false as well. And this is why when these folks say something to you, you need to take it with a grain of salt and not take it seriously at all. Very few things that they say in regards to things they try to tell us we are and they're much greater and doing better and all this. Yeah, well, you might be, but you've done better because you got a lot of help. Just like these immigrants came in here and got a lot of help. This is how many of you came over from Europe, getting a lot of help, getting land, getting money, getting all kinds of support from the government. You certainly didn't do it on your own, despite the fact you try to make those claims. The history certainly don't support it. And the history don't support this high IQ stuff that you've been running around saying. It doesn't support it anywhere. And if you were made greater than everyone else, how come it's not in the biblical text? How come there's nothing in fact, the biblical texts say the total opposite about you? Okay, if anything, it says the total opposite. How come the biblical text does not say that you are the greatest walking the earth? How come it doesn't say you're a master race? That's another one y'all love, and I'm going to do that one on Chat GPT. I'm going to ask if white people are indeed the master race and see what kind of answer it gives. I'm going to do that one too. So it does not reflect in ancient history, biblical history, or any history for that matter. Nothing that y'all say is reflected in that. So the fact that you start saying this stuff recently tells me automatically it's false. So let's get into this one, ladies and Gentlemen, let me go ahead and share my screen and then we will get started. Okay, please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you. Okay.
No. The idea that white people inherently have higher IQs than other groups, including Black people, is false, unscientific, and rooted in racism. Let's break this down with facts, history, and science. One IQ is not a measure of racial superiority IQ, intelligence quotient. Tests were created to measure certain types of reasoning and logic, but they don't measure creativity, emotional intelligence, social skills, or cultural knowledge, are affected by education, environment, poverty, nutrition, and access to resources were never designed to compare races, and doing so ignores centuries of systemic inequality. Environment and access matter more than race research consistently shows. Children in wealthy, stable environments tend to score higher on IQ tests. Regardless of race, poorer children, especially in underfunded schools or toxic environments, often score lower. Again, regardless of race, IQ reflects opportunity and exposure, not biological racial traits. 3. Mainstream science rejects racial IQ claims. Top researchers, including the American Psychological Association, APA, have publicly said there is no credible evidence that race, as a biological concept, determines intelligence. Genetics is complex, and race is not a scientifically valid category. When it comes to intelligence, human genetic variation is greater within so-called races than between them. 4. The racist roots of the high IQ myth. The myth that white people are smarter comes from 19th and 20th century pseudoscience like eugenics, craniometry, and race science was used to justify slavery, segregation, and colonialism is often pushed today by white supremacists and far-right figures, not serious scientists. These ideas were designed to dehumanize non-white people, not to tell the truth. 5. Success isn't determined by IQ alone. Some of the most successful innovators, leaders, artists, and scientists in the world scored average or even below average on IQ tests, came from communities that were historically oppressed. Black excellence has flourished in music, politics, science, education, and entrepreneurship, often in spite of barriers, not because of privilege. Final thought: IQ is not racial, intelligence is not fixed, and race based comparisons are usually meant to demean and divide, not inform. Real intelligence is shown in character, creativity, resilience, and vision, and Black people have always led in those areas.
Okay. So it says those that have been oppressed seem to be the best innovators, the best creators, the best ones that have ideas. All right. And it said when it comes down to education, people that have, a higher status, more wealthy tend to do better. Yeah, well, they got money. They can get tutors for their children. They can privately teach, hire people to come in and teach their children. But it said regardless of race. So somebody like LeBron, because he's a wealthy man and can do a lot more for his children and their education. So even his kids would be more advanced than a child that's less advantage. So it says it doesn't matter. So you can be a wealthy, melanated family, you would have kids that are doing better educationally. That's why it said regardless of race, which makes perfectly good sense. Rich people quite naturally can do more for their children than somebody that just don't have the money or income or the time because they have to work long hours because they're a working poor person. So that person may not be able to put as much into their children. But regardless of that, I want y'all to think about something. We would have to be the greatest people on earth because during chattel slavery, our biggest inventions came out during that time. We were not educated. We were not allowed to go to school. We were not allowed to read. We didn't have income. We had nothing, but we were able to reach within ourselves and still pour out inventions and things that are still heavily used today in modern times. So, that alone, when you look at the inventions that came out during slavery, that was a time when our people had nothing, but they were able to come up with all of these great inventions. And see, if you notice, our inventions always furthered humanity. Inventions that come from these other groups always further destruction. Gunpowder, guns, bombs. Those things don't further humanity, but the things we came up with did. And you didn't have to be a person high on the caste system in order to come up with a good idea. You don't have to be the highest. And to be honest with you, even when I was in the workforce, when we would have meetings, I'm not going to kid you. The best ideas that came out in the meetings usually came from Black men and Black women. And I'm telling you the truth. We would sit around the table and the best suggestions and everything came from our people in these businesses. But what they do is steal it and throw some white person's name on top of it. That's what they do. They still do that mess. They still do. How many of you have worked in a company, came up with a good idea, and then they turn around and said it came from some white person that you know damn well it didn't come from? How many times have you seen that happen? I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen a multitude of times, and they know what they're doing when they do that, by the way. They know exactly what they're doing. Trust me, they're not doing that because they forgot who told them. They're doing that because they want to make sure somebody that looked like them get credit. And they know it didn't come from their mouth. They know it's not their work. But we have seen this over and over. So if you really truly had the intelligence that you have claimed all this time, then nothing that you come up with should come from who you deem as having low IQs. You shouldn't want nothing from us. You shouldn't want nothing from us. Remember, we're stupid, no low IQ. You shouldn't want nothing from somebody with a low IQ. And the fact that you want our intelligence free of charge, that says it all right there. You know you don't feel that way about us, but see, society tells you you got to come in the open and say those kind of things. But y'all know it ain't like that. That's why you stay mad at us all the time, which I don't really care. You should know, me being on YouTube, I don't give a damn about you being mad. That doesn't phase me one way or the other. It never will. It never will. It happens it has happened to all of us. Forget about work. If you went to an integrated school, it even happened on that level. It even happened on that level. But never, ever believe they forgot who the idea came from. They remembered. who that where that idea came from, but they got a preferred white person in the room, so they're gonna claim it came from them. And that person is gonna go along with the program too, because, that's all part of the rigging and sabotaging. Is all part of that too. Or if you say something and they repeat what you say verbatim, word for word. Have you ever had that happen too? I can't tell you how many times that has happened in my lifetime with these folks. And I know that's happened with many of you as well. You'll say something, sometimes they'll even blow it off and try to act like what you said was invalid, and then they'll turn around and use your exact same words or phrase that you just said. I've had that happen too, because they know it's not invalid. They know what you said was correct, but it is that psychological warfare they're trying to play on you. They're trying to make you believe, well, your thoughts don't mean nothing. It's got to come from me. And I've even heard them say that. Yeah, but it's got to come from me before people will pay attention to it. Yeah, well, that's bullshit. Whether it comes from you or not, I know one thing, you ain't going to get another idea from me. I know that. I think when you wise up and know what's happening, oh no, giving up the goods to them, nah, that and I'll pass over on that each and every time. You know, like I said, they caught me up when I was young and didn't know any better, but now that I'm older, I don't give them nothing. If I got a good idea, that good idea is for me, not for them. That good idea remains with me, not on them. And when I started realizing what was going on in the meetings, this is what they do. Oh, well, and we're going to talk about blah, blah, blah. And then they'll talk about it. Well, Lisa, what do you think about that? Oh, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just listening and just taking it in. That's how I used to get around that. Now, I mean, sometimes I would know, how I would want to answer it, but I wouldn't answer it because whenever you give them a good idea, they never tell you the origins of where that idea came from. And because of that, no, you can't have none of my ideas. Plain and simple. My ideas are not for you. My ideas are for me. Mhm. So I was not going to keep you long, but it's amazing what's coming out of Chat GPT. It's amazing what's coming out. And I know they don't like it. They think this tool is supposed to prop them up and make them look even better. And we made this and we designed, yeah, whatever, you know. And the Most High was not lying when he said they haven't created anything, and they literally haven't. There's a reason why they want us around, hate you, but want you around. See, I don't play that game. I don't play that game. But, I hate you, but I need you around. No, and the recent group that's trying to pull that are the Latinos, but it's not working for them at all. It's just not. It's bad enough we have taken and endured all of this racism up in here for hundreds of years. We ain't taking it from some mud ball that came across a fence with some shitty ass accent. You must be high if you think we're taking it off of you. And now some of them are trying to get on videos practically saying they're gonna retaliate on us. I don't know what you're retaliating for. First of all, we ain't around you like that. And number 2, what's the retaliation? You ain't gonna give us tacos? Who the hell cares about that? So, y'all knock yourself out with your retaliation. You won't be getting far on that. So, y'all, I hope you enjoyed what came from Chat GPT, and I certainly got more. I am going to ask all of the stereotypical questions and come back to you with the answer. So I got a whole list of questions that I will be doing, you know, and you'll be familiar with all of it. All of it. Mhm. Yas Flame, thank you for the 40-month membership. Shalawam, Queen Lisa, off topic. The Supreme Court gave us a victory. Yeah, I heard about the birthright citizenship. I think that's what you're referring to. I did hear about that. And I don't even know why that ended up in court because it is very clear when you read the Constitution what that meant. But the reason why it got all messed up is because of the Democratic Party. They used it for reasons that it was never intended for. That was for the descendants of the enslaved. It was never, ever for anybody from South America, Mexico, or anywhere else. That was for us, which means technically when they came here, the only thing they should be coming here for really is a work visa or coming as a tourist. But all of this coming here and becoming a citizen and illegally coming in and making demands and all that stuff, no, that's not allowed anywhere. And it should not be allowed here. And being that Donald Trump got that victory, he gonna double down on their butts. You know how Donald Trump is. Donald Trump is gonna double down on their behinds and really drag them the hell up on out of here. That's what he's gonna do. You know, you ain't gonna have time to retaliate on us because ICE is gonna be bearing down on that ass. You won't have time to be doing anything when in regards to us. And see, when they come here acting like that, I don't care if they're legal or illegal. When they come here and their goal is to do harm to us, round all their asses up and get them out of here. They don't have the right to be here as far as I'm concerned. So, y'all, please enjoy the rest of your day. I might be doing um another video a little later. If I do, more than likely that will be in a premiere. Mhm. And I know, and I'm also sick of these people coming here saying they're better than us. Well, how come you couldn't be better in your homeland? And I'm going to continue to ask that question. You had to come all the way here to be better than somebody. You couldn't be better than someone in your homeland? I mean, why should we respect you? You came from some little shitty ass country and you wouldn't even bother to stay there and fight to fix it and get it the way you want it to run. But instead of doing that, you going to come to a country that's not yours and make demands. What sense does that make? That don't make any sense whatsoever. Mm-mm-mm. Let me go, y'all. I will see you later, y'all. Shalom.